Today we're going to be reading chapter 14. It is titled The Tree Breaks Through the Rock. Okay, we're on page 123. Okay. I shot out of the building when the last bell rang. 2 boys were taking down the flag, and I immediately thought of Punky. What kind of day had he had with Aunt Queenie? I was sure it would rank right up there with having his teeth pulled or losing his cowboy hat. Avenel caught up to me as I detoured behind the buses. "We can walk together if you want," she said. "Your, new home is right on my way." "It's not my home. It's just a stopping off place until I'm old enough to move out." The words sounded hateful, but Avenel understood. My vision blurred when she switched her book to her right arm and linked her other with mine. "How's Punky?" she asked after a while. "He's getting by, same as me," I said, snuffling. "I miss my dad a lot. He had to go away for a while, but at least I know he's coming back. I can't imagine what it's like for you and Punky." Her voice was soft and full of concern, and suddenly I thought of that tree I'd seen growing from the rock. Just as surely as tree needed water and sunshine to survive, I needed to reach out to Avenel. I needed her for a friend. "I want to show you something," I said, taking the swan from my pocket. Gently, I removed the swan and handed it to Avenel. "Oh, it's gorgeous, and it looks real enough to take off and fly. Where'd you get it?" "From the wood carver at Silver Dollar City." "Expensive, I bet." I swallowed hard and said, "It cost me my parents." "What?" Words gushed out of me. Then, as I told Avenel everything, the terrible wait for my parents at Silver Dollar City, Whitlam Walt, running away from with Punky in the middle of the night, the funeral and Aunt Queenie's shampoo, and the horn bones behind the TV. When I was finished, we were laughing and crying, and I felt clean from the inside out. We had reached Avenel's house, and she took my arm and pulled me up the steps. This time, she didn't act embarrassed, and I knew why. Her home was the exact opposite of Aunt Queenie's. As Avenel yanked open the Potbelly's screen door, the spool handle came off in her hand. "Aunt Queenie," she squealed, "put that in your pipe and smoke it." We burst into hysterics as the thought of Aunt Queenie smoking a pipe. By the time we simmered down, we were surrounded by grinning mop tops in the living room and the aroma of hot grease and cinnamon. "Velveeta," said Bertie. "Why so funny?" Her mouth was ringed with sugar ringlets, and she held a donut in each hand. My Aunt Queenie, the lady with the bird nest on her head. "Bertie, that's no way to talk," said Mrs. Shackelford, trying hard to look stern. "What are you doing with those donuts in the living room? They belong in the kitchen." "They belong in my stomach," said Avenel. "Come on, Del Rita. Mom makes the best donuts you ever tasted." As Avenel poured milk for us into mismatched glasses, I glanced around the kitchen. Flour dusted the counter and Mrs. Shackelford's belly, and the sink was piled high with dirty dishes. There was no mixer or dishwasher or microwave oven, but there was a coziness, a warmth that made me go limp with longing. "Del Rita, wake up," said Avenel, snapping her fingers in my face. "You're a million miles away." "I'm sorry. I was thinking of how nice it is here." "Not at all like Aunt Queenie's." "Nice." Mmm, nice, nice. Oh, yeah, like home. Nice clutter, nice people. Your aunt and uncle are nice people, said Aunt Mrs. Shackelford. Bert helped us find this place to rent, and Queenie's very active in the community. I know, but they got stuck with Punky and me, and they don't really need anybody but themselves. Maybe you've just had too much togetherness all at once. It'll get better when you get used to each other. Mrs. Shackelford passed me a donut. Why don't you come over Saturday afternoon? You and Punky? Give yourselves and your aunt and uncle a break. Punky'd have a good time playing with the kids, and you and Avenel could do whatever you like. It sounded wonderful. It sounded wonderful. I ate 3 donuts and listened to Bertie telling about the old baby chasing a cat down the street. I blowed my whistle like this. Bertie lifted the whistle to her sugary mouth, but her mother said, not in the house. Bertie let the whistle fall back onto her chest and continued her story. Anyway, the cat flew up the tree and Gordy just stood there and bawled. Cats don't fly, Avenel laughed. This one did. I didn't want to leave, but there wasn't a telephone so I could call Aunt Queenie. I thanked Mrs. Shackelford for the donut and told everyone goodbye. Avenel walked me to the door. Squeezing my hand, she said, we're going to be the best of friends. I felt warm inside. I'd finally burst through the rock. The television was blaring in the family room, and Aunt Queenie was assembling a club newsletter in the kitchen. When I laid my books down beside the neat stacks of paper on the table, she gave me a tired smile and said, How was school today, hon? It was the same question Mom had always asked, and somehow it didn't seem right coming from Aunt Queenie. I shrugged and replied, I got through it. Are you hungry? There are carrot sticks in the refrigerator and... No thanks. I don't care much for rabbit food. I didn't tell her I was stuffed to the gills with donuts. Well then, would you mind taking Punky for a walk or something? If I hear one more commercial, I'm gonna pull my hair out. I grinned at the image of Aunt Queenie's bird nest laying beside Uncle Bert's toupee on the bureau. We'll go out to the patio, I said, touching the swan box in my pocket. I want to carve anyway. Just be sure to sweep up your wood shavings. They'll look tacky if you blow all over the yard. And would you mind putting your books away? I'm using the table. I took the books to my room, grabbed my Barbie doll case from the closet, and went to the family room. Punky was sitting cross-legged at the sawed-off table, lining up crayons and twisting his hair nervously. I noticed his bald spot was getting bigger. Hi, handsome. DJ! He cried, knocking some leaves off the philodendron as he switched off the TV and got up stiffly from the floor. I hugged him, scooped the leaves off the carpet, and slipped them into my pocket. Let's go outside, I said. Wait a minute, Punky replied, donning his cowboy hat. He put the crayons in his lunchbox with his clowns and tucked his radio under his arm. We went out to the patio, where Punky started arranging his things on the picnic table. When I opened the Barbie case, we both caught the faint whiff of new wood. He glanced up quickly, saying, Sam, Shirley, come home? My hands trembled as I picked up a roughed-out swan shape, and Dad's words echoed in my mind. Let him spread his wings and fly. I was still thinking about Dad that night when I went to bed. I missed him and Mom so much that my chest ached and I couldn't sleep. I tossed back the covers, crawled out of my bed, and reached for my Barbie case. Aunt Queenie wouldn't know if I carved in my bathroom, as long as I cleaned the wood shavings off the tile floor. Huddling on the fluffy pink toilet seat, I whittled away. As the feathers began to emerge in the swan's body, I smiled. Herkimer. The name came out of the blue. Herkimer, I whispered, knowing I'd found the perfect name for what I'd hoped would be the perfect swan. He'd have a long, graceful, unbroken neck and beautiful outstretched wings. When I finished Herkimer, I'd show him to Avenel. Maybe I'd even teach her how to carve.